All right. So we are back like we are every morning doing the... normally it's the Bhagavatam reading, but we're actually going to hear... Oh, how did I lose my spot in the Bhagavatam? That's a shame. I'll have to refine that. But anyway, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. I'm in the chapter. This is still selfish. I'm doing my own personal reading for the day with you guys. But Lord Chaitanya, the original personality of Godhead. So chapter 17. So let's see. It starts with the words, Lord Chaitanya remained a householder. Wow, I'm right there. So, in order to properly read Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, it's actually recommended that every day, at least by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that the pure devotees, they will hear about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu before they even hear about Krishna. Why? Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's position is so spectacular for us. What's that?
What chapter did you say we're in?
We are on chapter 17. So if you go to prabhupadaBooks.com, the database will work too. It might just be a little different. It might have some edits. So anyway, we are on Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. And it is as follows. Well, first to do a little invocation, give me a kartal. And Ben, hit the mridanga a little bit here for me. We'll maybe do a Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra. Go ahead. Jaya Jaya. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai. So we're going to be reading from the Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. This is an amazing book. This has been inspired by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Sri Chaitanya Shikshamrita, also his Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. This was actually the first Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Teachings of Lord Chaitanya was the first English publication of Krishna consciousness ever. And he sent it to a university, and I believe in Alberta, Canada. And actually, this was inspired. In the beginning of this, Srila Prabhupada, he glorifies Bhaktivinoda Thakur and offers this to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, because this is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur did. And now Prabhupada is just kind of continuing on in his line and giving the teachings of Lord Chaitanya to the world. And he thought this was very important. Even before he did any finishing of the Bhagavatam, any type of, even the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Actually, if you read this is a really nice supplement to reading the Chaitanya Charitamrita, because he gives the complete teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in a very condensed way, that anybody can actually understand who Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is. So I'm actually in the chapter by happenstance where it's explaining who Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, what his position is, who the Panchatattva are, who his associates are, and how all of them Pancha Tattva, Tattva means truth, Pancha means five. So it's like the five truths and how the truth of the Lord manifests himself. First, he's Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then his expansion as the servant devotee, that's Nityananda Prabhu. His first expansion, he who wants to serve that Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why is there existence? God could just stay one. There's a whole Dvaita Vedanta, a whole monism school in India where they just say, well, everything's just one, everything should go back to one, and that should be reality. This is called Mayavad philosophy. Mayavad philosophy is very dull, very boring, and very limited. Even though there's an element of truth to it, it's like a half-truth, because ultimately the Lord creates variety for one reason. And what's the word? Does anyone know? In the Vedanta Sutra, why all of existence is there? Leela. For the Lord's play. Yes. For actual enjoyment. So all of that is good in the world, all that is enjoyable, is due to the variegatedness of the Lord. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has many expansions, and Krishna, the supreme absolute truth, expands himself in so many ways, including us. We're an expansion. The Mayavadi philosophy, which has pervaded what you maybe call Hinduism, or even, it's pervading all kinds of Western religions. Actually, it's predicted Nirvishesha and Shunyavadi, which are voidism, which is akin to Buddhism, that it's all nothing and just be type of thing, just exist and just be okay with, being nothing. That's voidism. That's kind of Buddhism in a small nutshell. There's a lot more to Buddhism than that. But anyway, and then Shunyavadi, which is we're all one, we're merging, everything else is an illusion, just merge back into the one. That's the main essence. So Srila Prabhupada, we chant his pranam mantra, Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi, Paschatya Deshatarine. He's come to smash Nirvishesha and Shunyavadi. Why? Because it bars you from the ultimate pleasure that the Lord is offering you, which is infinite variegatedness in Leela. So the devotee, we're not interested in dissolving ourselves back into nothingness, nor not back into nothingness. We never were nothingness. And Krishna confirms that in Bhagavad Gita. Never have I not existed, nor you. He makes the distinguishment. It's just, he didn't say, never have we not all existed in me. He says, never have I not existed, nor you, nor any of these kings, and never shall any of us cease to be. He says this is Bhagavad Gita. Like the third thing he says in Bhagavad Gita. So anyhow, it's interesting. We're going to talk about Mayavadi philosophers. That's where I'm at. But anyway, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually comes to give. He actually came to fix India. There's a lot of things that had to happen in the progression, especially in Kali Yuga, how Sanatana Dharma is coming along. And you see many things have happened since Krishna left the planet and he established Bhagavad Gita, re-established the ultimate Vedic teachings. So then, after that, it was Kali Yuga. And Kali Yuga means that the leadership, the teachers, the Brahminical people, they'll degrade. We're seeing this. I just had a nice conversation with a devotee the other day who was not appreciating, but was lamenting that even in spiritual institutions where people are supposed to uphold the highest standards, those type of high standards are not being met in many different ways. This is natural, actually, in Kali Yuga. This is just what it is. So there has to be an actual how to navigate through this Kali Yuga. That's what the whole Bhagavatam is about. The sages, they were gathering. What the hell are we going to do? 1,000 years we're trying to do a sacrifice to combat Kali Yuga, but it's too strong. What can we do? So the Bhagavatam was given. This is the pilot light out of this Kali Yuga, and actually giving you the highest thing so condensed. But even that, the Bhagavatam, because of the degradation of Kali Yuga, Mayavadi sweeps in and turns the whole Bhagavatam leading you towards Mayavad, and next thing you know, there's really, it even trying to follow the Bhagavatam seems impossible. So just like Krishna had to come, the teachings of Vedic Dharma were lost, and he had to come and reestablish religion in a very big way. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did just that. And it's said in the Bhagavatam that the Lord, he comes in Kali Yuga as a sannyasi with his weapons and associates. And that's who the Panchatattva are. That's Nityananda Prabhu. He had a completely different role than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had to lead the society in general, but that forced him into taking sannyas. Because this is who in Kali Yuga people respect renunciates. Even though they're not always they're acting very abominable in Kali Yuga, but this is the nature of people. We're very superficial. There's many descriptions, sex attraction, for instance, is only by one's hair. That's why a lot of times in this tradition we don't do so much with hair. We kind of shave it off or put a sika there, and why? Because this is helping us combat the superficiality of Kali Yuga. Everyone is almost like obsessed with hair. I mean, just at the superficial level. But there's many things. I was always joking with my wife. It said in Kali Yuga, women will eat too much. Men will be like quite stupid. And so many things. And it's all come true. You read the 12th canto of Bhagavatam, you get a description of Kali Yuga. It's so spot on, it's scary, actually. And you're like, oh, crap, I'm here. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he had to come with his associates to show us, this is how you navigate Kali Yuga. Exactly like this. Here, follow me. Chant like this. Dance like this. Do this, do that, do that. Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Prabhupada thought this is the most important thing. Before he finished the Bhagavatam, before this, all of our acharyas have their own teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, I read his teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Very difficult to read anything from Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati unless you are very diligent in looking up every single word that but you will look up maybe 8 to 10 words a page if you have a pretty good vocabulary. Now what's to speak if, he was incredibly scholarly. But teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Bhakti Vinod Thakur, the other preaching acharya that we give reverence to. Chaitanya Shikshamrita, which also means the nectar, the amrita of the shiksha, of the instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. This is very, very important. We should understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because this is our mercy in Kali Yuga. This is it right here. This is how Krishna is showing us exactly how to do it. And yet, a lot of times we want to hop over. You can't hop over. You can't even hop over your guru. What's this? You can't even get to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu without the parampara, the mercy of the guru. I'm in a place in my life where I've been really ungrateful to the devotees who really helped me pave my path. And I just was like, they have this worldly quality about them, or, they're not a pure devotee, they're not perfect, and things like this. And I've done this. And actually, that's not the proper mood, actually. The Uttamadhikari, or the highest type of devotee, they see that everybody is serving Krishna to some capacity or another. Everybody is allowing for Krishna's teachings to seep throughout the world. Even if somebody's completely immersed in Maya, they're serving Krishna by reflecting Maya so blatantly at you that you can be like, oh, Hare Krishna, I gotta go this way. This is actually the Uttam understanding that everybody is serving Krishna. Whether you're serving Maya or you're serving the Swarup Shakti or the direct spiritual energy of Krishna, everybody's serving Krishna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is showing us exactly how to do this. So, let's just read a little bit of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here. His teachings. It's explaining how Nityananda Prabhu is the servant personality of Godhead as well. And Advaita Acharya is also a further expansion of the servant personality of Godhead. And he acts very much as the devotee. where Nityananda Prabhu is a little bit more, he also is acting as the devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but he's a little bit more, you could say, expanding his opulence. He has no worldly considerations at all. He's an avadut, it's called. Meaning any societal conventions, it doesn't matter what it is, that's not necessary or relevant to him at all. And actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could have exhibited this as well. And in many cases, even in his youth, he did exhibit this. But for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to actually fully impact the hearts of the completely conditioned materialistic people of Kali Yuga, he had to then walk the path of the renunciate at 24 years of age. So the final chapters of his life, from 24 to 48, were him as a renunciate. So he actually ordained Nityananda Prabhu to go reach the other people I can't reach from my position of a renunciate. Because a renunciate bars themselves from women, a renunciate bars themselves from materialistic people dealing with money and things like this. They should, at least. In Kali Yuga, that's not the case. But this is the, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did that to reach the one half, and Nityananda Prabhu went out and spread the mercy to the other half. He's the most merciful incarnation, is Nityananda Prabhu. Then you have Advaita Acharya. I'll actually read exactly what I read. Advaita, he's also in the category of Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he is subordinate to Chaitanya and Nityananda Prabhu. And his immediate subordinate expansions are worshipable by the other two. So then you have Gadadhar Pandit. It actually is said to take the mood of Radharani in this Kali Yuga, where the internal potency or the pure spiritual devotion towards the Lord in servitude. Gadadhar Pandit manifests this. This is the fourth truth. And then Srivas Thakur, which is the expansion of the pure devotee. How the pure devotee serves all the other expansions of the Lord. So now that's kind of where we're at. Prabhupada was talking a little bit about Mayavadis, agnostics, atheists, and how Chaitanya, he came to accept all kinds of agnostics, atheists, skeptics, and unfaithfuls and swallow them in the flood of love of God. That's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what he's come to do. Oh, it doesn't matter what you're. You're an atheist, you're an agnostic, you're a skeptic, you're this and that. I'm going to inundate this entire Kali Yuga, this entire world with the love of God. And just see what you can do about it. So this is actually what's happening in Kali Yuga right now. We're all drowning in love of God potentially. But ultimately, only some of us are fortunate to realize that a nectar of love has just washed upon us. So anyhow, let's continue reading. Lord Chaitanya remained a householder until his 24th year, and in the 25th year of his life he accepted the renounced order. Yes. We're in chapter 17, Lord Chaitanya, the original personality of Godhead, maybe I don't know, a bunch of paragraphs down, maybe 10 paragraphs down. You just listen. Lord Chaitanya remained a householder until his 24th year, and in the 25th year of his life, he accepted the renounced order. After accepting the renounced order of sannyas, he attracted many other sannyasis. When he had been spreading the Sankirtan movement as a family man, many Mayavadi sannyasis did not take his movement very seriously. But after the Lord accepted the sannyas order of life, he delivered speculative students, atheists, and those who are attached to fruitive activities and unnecessary criticism. The Lord was so kind that he accepted all these people and delivered to them the most important factor in life, love of God. So again, why he had to take the renounced order? Because there's many people who only respect that. Of the Varna ashram system, it's the final ashram to take the sannyas order. And that's who people respect in Kali Yuga. Very superficial things. Oh, he's wearing orange. He's a Swami. Yes. You'll see this in, It doesn't matter. A Swami could get caught having a girlfriend. A Swami can get caught doing so many things. And you still see this even in our dear ISKCON we're trying to serve in. People will be at their feet and bowing just because he's got orange on, That's it. But this is the nature of Kali Yuga. It's not to fault them, but this is the nature. This is what people are attracted to, superficials. So anyhow, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had to appeal to that. So he took the renounced order, and he showed them how to be a sannyas at the highest level. So the next paragraph, the Lord was so kind that he accepted all these people and delivered to them the most important factor in life, love of God. Oh no. Oh yes, sorry. When he had been spreading the Sankirtan movement as a family man, many Mayavad sannyasis did not take his movement very seriously. But after the Lord accepted the sannyas order of life, he delivered speculative students, atheists, and those who were attached to fruitive activities and unnecessary criticism. This is very important. Where the being attached to fruitive activities, how am I going to get the results? I want this, I want that, I want a certain amount of money, I want a certain house, I want a certain career, I want a certain type of wife, I want a certain type of husband, I want this, that, and that. This is all fruitive activity. I want the fruit. This is very dangerous. This leads, do you know what this type of person, what their result always is? A fruitive activity type of person? Yes, they're miserable. They're miserable people. They're called misers. I think, what is that? Is it a kripana? Something like that. Yeah, I think so. We're misers if we're fruitive people. Then the other, who are attached to unnecessary criticism. This is huge, huge. People, we love to gossip. We love to just talk. We like to just flap our lips, and it's not always necessary. Like for instance, your seniors in your spiritual life, and you say, you're criticizing me. Why are you criticizing me? It's actually to help you. It's necessary criticism for you. And we should actually want to be criticized by our superiors. But, other than that, you should never offer, it's a Vedic injunction, never offer unsolicited advice. So if somebody wants your advice, you should give your advice. That might mean constructive criticism. But other than that, if they don't want your advice, you cannot criticize them. That's it. So we have to be very careful because many people will do many things that are criticizable. Actually, this is the nature. Everyone in Kali Yuga, people will criticize Krishna. They would criticize Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They'll criticize the Supreme Lord. But actually, they're fools. Actually, Krishna says this is what fools do. Exactly what fools do. They deride him. Oh, he's dancing with young girls at night. Oh, well, and you see many people like Osho and Sadhguru, they're all criticizing like this. This is what they do. But they actually can't understand because they're, unfortunately, of the foolish nature. We can criticize those who do two things. What are the two things? Blaspheming God, yes. Which is why I can criticize Sadhguru and Osho, because they blaspheme Krishna, then they deserve to be blasphemed. And those who blaspheme the devotees. It says in 937 of, not 937, but it says in the 9th chapter, I think maybe 27 or somewhere between 27 and 32, that even if one does abominable activities, I've had this experience. I could tell you an experience of mine. Even if someone does an abominable thing, if they're situated on trying to serve the Lord, they should be considered saintly. You should actually respect them. Like maybe, there's all kinds of cases when Prabhupada left this world of people doing, devotees trying to practice, but because they were so junior and neophyte and they didn't have pure devotees guiding them, and their only source to pure devotee, Prabhupada, left the planet. And, and all he left is his books. So they're just studying his books, but they're just, not able to just read the book and get everything that they needed, to make advancement. They had to learn some hard life lessons. There's devotees doing horrible things. There's devotees involved in murder conspiracies. There's devotees involved in, doing crazy things. I don't even want to get into it. There's been so much abuse and drugs and prostitution rings, and I don't want to get too much into it. But if they were to realize the error of their ways and to go back to their preaching, they actually should be considered saintly. There's a person me and my wife know, who in the beginning of our Krishna consciousness and her Krishna consciousness, he was very, very supportive to us, so supportive to us. And I remember there was one time we went to a class at the temple, the local temple I had gone to, and I brought my wife, and I thought she was my potential girlfriend at the time, and I was trying to impress her, and for whatever was happening, there was something weird happening in the management, and the devotee there was recommending it was a strong class on why the congregation should be giving money to the temple. Which, yes, there might be even scriptural reasons where that's what you should do. But at the same time, it's very bad taste to sit there, get up on the Vyasasana and talk about this, that, and the other and be like, we need money. That's not good. So my wife was turned off. I was turned off. I'm embarrassed. I'm like, oh my God, that's the first representation of Krishna consciousness she gets. So anyway, luckily the senior devotee, who he wanders from here to there, he happens to be, and he sat us down, and it's an all Indian temple pretty much. So there's only a few Western people there. So I'm sitting off with my wife. I'm trying to explain, what he said wasn't wrong. There's Shastra that recommends that, but I would never do that, But actually, luckily, this devotee, he sat with us, and he really kind of explained why, giving references of what Prabhupada wanted and how, this should never be the emphasis. And it should always be about the philosophy, the spiritual philosophy, if you get up on the Vyasasana. So anyhow, Prabhupada, he really actually really nurtured my wife and I. And he potentially saved my wife's Krishna consciousness that day, because my wife was quite turned off. And then she could have dwelled on that in her mind, and she could have come to a conclusion that, oh, these people are money hungry, or they're fool, I thought I was getting into something that was good, and then here we are, look at this bad activity. So the whole thing must be garbage. This could have been a thing. So anyhow, he could have saved my marriage, actually, that day. But many years later, that devotee, I found out in the past, when I, you delve in, if you look into the history of our organization, not everyone has acted perfectly. Actually, quite the opposite. There's horrifying things with people making great offenses due to their immaturity. I wish I could tell you that wasn't the case, but if you're in Krishna consciousness long enough, you'll find that, wow, how could that have happened? But that very devotee was one of the ones who did, I guess Krishna would say, an abominable thing. And I won't, just to preserve integrity, I won't mention what it was and why and when. Anyway, did a very terrible thing. And yet, he saved my wife's Krishna consciousness and my Krishna consciousness. So it was, we should be very careful. We should be very careful when, criticizing. There are times to criticize. When the Lord is blasphemed and when the devotees are blasphemed. And if you witness it especially, you must say something. You must say something. But at the same time, it doesn't matter even if you're a great criticizer or even if you're a great fruitive activity person. Everything's about your own gain and the fruits. I want this fruit, I want that fruit. Doesn't matter. Lord Chaitanya will drown you in the love of God. You have no chance against it, actually. Either you take it in this lifetime or eventually it's already finished, actually. So those who are intelligent will actually take to the Sankirtan movement. This is what the incarnation of Kali Yuga is predicted to do, is to inaugurate Sankirtan. So Chaitanya MahaPrabhu has already done it, actually. It's already done. Now we're just here as dancing puppets, trying to, latch on to the, pull people up on the boat and surf on the love of Godhead wave that has already come. So the Lord was so kind that He accepted all these people and delivered to them the most important factor in life, love of God. To fulfill His mission of bestowing love of God upon conditioned souls, Lord Chaitanya devised many methods to attract those people disinterested in love of God. After He accepted the renounced order, all agnostics, critics, atheists, and mental speculators became His students and followers. Even many who were not Hindus and who did not follow the Vedic principles accepted Lord Chaitanya as the supreme teacher. The only persons who avoided the mercy of Sri Chaitanya MahaPrabhu were those sannyasis who were known as the Mayavadi philosophers of Benares. The plight of such Mayavadi philosophers is described by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami. The Mayavadi philosophers of Benares were less intelligent because they wanted to measure everything by direct perception. It's called pratyaksha. But everything that is perceived is calculated by material perception. The absolute truth is transcendence. But according to them, there is no variegatedness in transcendence. For they say that everything that is full of variegatedness is Maya. So this is another strike. Actually, Mayavadi is the greatest danger to your spirit. It's actually better you just go be like some worldly critic or some big fruitive activity person. Why? Because Mayavadi, what it does is it gives a certain, from what you can measure with your direct perception, the oneness of all things. Even if you study the great physicists, they can study down to the atomic level. See, everything is a repeating fractal of the ratio, which is best known as the Fibonacci sequence, or the phi, or the golden ratio. They know this. This is actually will lead one potentially to the oneness conclusion, that everything is following one unified system. There's one unified language of God. And this is one snapshot of that on a greater scale, of Brahman realization. But the problem with just that realization, if you take that as sum and substance of that's everything, you will miss out on Paramatma realization, the personality within you that you can connect to. And then even worse, you'll never even get a shot at Bhagavan realization. You'll never have a shot because you've already concluded, you've made a false conclusion. Oh, everything is one, so there's no variegatedness. No. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving what's called Achintya Beda Beda Tattva. Beda Abeda. Everything is simultaneously one and simultaneously different. This is the nature of the Lord. The variegatedness has a very, very high purpose. All enjoyment pleasure, all pleasure potency is in the variegatedness. All love is in the variegatedness. Michael, do that real quick. Just do that for me. It's on my help. Anyway, the devotees are helping you.
One more time.
Yes. So good. But this is actually very important. So we have two more paragraphs. During Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, there were also other impersonalist philosophers known as Mayavadi philosophers of Saranatha. Saranatha is a place near Benares where Buddhist philosophers used to reside, and even today many stupas?
It's like monument, sort of stupas is like pillars of monuments and like statues.
Okay.
Like greeting or whatever.
Oh, stupas of the Buddhist Mayavadis. It's like a deity, okay. Can be seen. The Mayavadi philosophers of Saranatha are different from the impersonalists who believe in the impersonal manifestation of Brahman. According to the Saranatha philosophers, there is no spiritual existence at all. This is nirvishesha. The fact is that both the Mayavadi philosophers of Benares and the philosophers of Saranatha are entrapped by material nature. None of them actually know the nature of absolute transcendence. Although superficially accepting the Vedic principles and considering themselves to be transcendentalists, the philosophers of Benares do not accept spiritual variegatedness, because they have no information about devotional service. They are called non-devotees, or those who are against the devotional service of Lord Krishna. So these two things are most dangerous. Nirvishesha, which is everything is nothing. Everything is void. Actually, a lot of our the Big Bang Theory is kind of a nirvishesha type of philosophy. Yeah, everything came from nothing, and now we have everything, and then all this everything will go back to nothing. Like, okay, and we just accept. No, yeah, no problem. That makes sense. Nothing makes everything. Okay, cool, got it. And go on. So this is kind of like in the spiritual world, that's Buddhism. All is nothing, and it goes back to nothing. But this is not a good philosophy. Even though the Lord Himself taught this philosophy. Why? It was the Lord Buddha is an incarnation of the Lord. Why? Because there were the atheist class of people. One, they should also worship the Lord. So Buddhism is created just for them, so they also worship the Lord. I used to do this. I was an atheist. Oh no, I don't worship God. I like Buddha better. I don't like God. I like God better. He got me. I didn't realize. I had no idea because Buddha was preaching no God. No, don't. The Vedas, God, none of this. Don't. So anyway, the atheists also have to be tricked into worshiping the Lord. It's the Lord's great comedy, you could say. And then two, that the Brahmins of Kali Yuga were abusing their posts very badly, sacrificing animals, doing many things unjust, and abusing the Vedas. And so Buddhism had to come in disregard, and like, for instance, sannyas and the marrying of one's brother's wives, and things that you could use in animal sacrifice, cow sacrifice, horse sacrifice, things that actually had a deep spiritual purpose, but now were being done to enjoy the fruits, which is something a Brahmin should never do. But it's because it's Kali Yuga, the Brahmin class will degrade. So the Buddha actually, he erased all of that by giving his philosophy. And then Shankaracharya, who is Lord Shiva in incarnation, gave the Mayavadi philosophy to erase the Buddhist philosophy and drove Buddhism out of India. And now it's all in like China and Mongolia and Tibet and Japan. And it was forced out of Varsha because it really has no place there. It's not bona fide philosophy. Even though it gives a lot of proper Sattvic Vedic tenets, it's not ultimately... and now Chaitanya MahaPrabhu had come to now do away with what Shankar put in place. Because the next phase of how evolution of spirituality needs to take place, and that's to focus on prema, which is love of God. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was given. So, what did I read last, Michael? None of them actually knows the nature of the absolute transcendence. Although superficially accepting the Vedic principles and considering themselves to be transcendentalists, the philosophers of Benares do not accept spiritual variegatedness because they have no information about devotional service. They're called non-devotees. We read that, and they were against the devotional service of the Lord. Last paragraph. I think the whole chapter is going to end, so we just gotta finish it. So 2 paragraphs. The impersonalists speculate on the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His devotees and subject them to the tests of direct perception. However, the Lord, His devotee, and His devotional service are not subject to direct perception. And you cannot measure it with just what your eyes see, your mind thinks, what your ears hear. That's not the nature of the Lord. He's beyond all that. I think that's, what is the word? Adhokshaja? He's beyond the... Yeah, beyond the material perception. So, that's a chintya. Means inconceivable. But anyway, however, the Lord, His devotee, and His devotional service are not subject to direct perception. That means we can't even recognize the devotee of the Lord and devotional service. We just assume, that's, maybe, a lot of times this can happen. I was, and I pick on you guys a little bit. But I would be very attached to my chanting, or I'll be very attached to a certain spiritual thing I'm doing. And then Krishna will send a force from outside through the devotee to engage me in a service, which Krishna clearly wants. But I'll be upset, why Why are you disturbing me with that? I'm doing this. It's like this happened with the Brahmins and the Brahmins' wives. They're doing a great Vedic sacrifice. I'm doing my sacrifice for the Supreme Absolute Truth. And then the Supreme Absolute Truth literally came in person and sent his devotees to beg food from them. Hey, can you come and feed us? This is what like the goal of a sacrifice would be. If the Lord were to appear and give and ask for your service, you'd be like, yes, of course. But because they were so caught up in the rituals of things and their own perception of what devotional service was, when it literally came up to their face and was begging them, they ignored him and said, get out of here, But who recognized? Their wives. And their wives all left them and ran to Krishna. Why? Because their wives actually had a deeper devotional qualification. They were simpler at heart. They didn't have so many ideas of the box of what devotional service looks like. We have to be very careful. So we might not recognize the devotee nor devotional service. They're not subject to direct perception. That's why we always have to take guidance from those who have a clearer perception than we do. This is the principle of Guru and Parampara. It should come into cyclic succession. We shouldn't try and speculate and invent our own process. Very important. In other words, spiritual variegatedness is unknown to the Mayavad philosophy. Therefore, all the Mayavad philosophers and sannyasis criticized Lord Chaitanya when he was conducting his Sankirtan movement. They were surprised to see Lord Chaitanya after he accepted his sannyas order from Keshava Bharati. For Keshava Bharati belonged to the Mayavad school. This was the great conundrum. Chaitanya MahaPrabhu took sannyas from a Mayavad. But Keshava Bharati was a very special so-called Mayavad. But externally it appeared that way. Anyhow, since Lord Chaitanya therefore belonged to the Mayavad sect of sannyasis, the Mayavads were surprised to see him engaged in chanting and dancing instead of hearing or reading Vedanta, as is the custom. The Mayavad philosophers are very fond of Vedanta. Anta is end, and Veda is knowledge, the end of knowledge, the conclusion of knowledge. And they misinterpret it in their own way. Instead of understanding their own position, they criticized Lord Chaitanya as an unauthorized sannyasi, arguing that because he was a sentimentalist, he was not actually a bona fide sannyasi. All these criticisms were carried to Lord Chaitanya when he was at Benares, and he was not at all surprised at them. He even smiled when the news was carried to him. He did not execute with the Mayavad sannyasis, but remained alone and executed his own mission. After staying for some days in Benares, he started for Mathura. So eventually, actually, those Mayavad sannyasis, Lord Chaitanya will even conquer their heart. But they were like the stalwarts against him. Everyone was loving what Chaitanya MahaPrabhu was doing. Even we go and do Sankirtan, which is the extension of Chaitanya MahaPrabhu. His main things is dancing, hearing about the Lord, and feasting. Chanting, dancing, and feasting over the Lord, on the Lord's prasadam. This is Chaitanya MahaPrabhu's thing. This was all our programs are based on. So, but the Mayavadi sannyasis, they weren't like this. They were, why are you dancing? Well, this is all Maya. Why are you, trying to, spend all this time chanting and observing all this devotee etiquette and things like this? Because they didn't understand, because they limited themselves. They limited themselves with their own perception of what devotion looks like, or own perception of what spiritual enlightenment looks like. It's simpler than you think. Who is absorbed in love? That is spiritual transcendence. Not, how many books does he read, or how long can he sit still, or can he dissolve his ego and this and that. No. Who is actually on the platform of divine love? That's what Chaitanya MahaPrabhu has come to give, this divine love. And so how is it coming? Through the parampara, yes. Through the devotee. Chaitanya MahaPrabhu is emphasizing how important the devotee and the activities of devotional service. So yeah, maybe it's changing the cups, or cooking a meal, or washing some dishes, or using this facility, maybe using some of your resources for the Lord's service. But all of this is how this mercy is spread. And it should lead everyone towards the conclusion of bhakti, lead everyone towards the conclusion of worshiping the Lord, even serving the Lord's devotees. It's number one thing. Number one thing for spiritual advancement is sadhu sangha. It'll take you thousands of years to make the same advancement on your own, rather than just meet a saintly person who's established in conclusions farther than you. And you just be like, whoa, he just blew my mind. This is the power of the devotees. We should always strive to try and seek and associate with the devotees. Why? Because they know the secrets of devotional service. So we don't actually pray like, oh, I want Krishna, as my husband, I want Krishna as my friend, I want Krishna as this, I want that. No, we want Krishna as intimate servants. We want to be in their association. Why? Because they can teach us what Krishna really likes. I gave the example of Holly, right? Holly was here the one day. Where is Holly, by the way? She should be here in the mornings again. But Holly was here, and she, and the example I gave, that Holly likes a musician, And so Holly wants to serve that musician, so she's baking the musician all kinds of cookies. This is a hypothetical thing. It turns out the musician's diabetic. He doesn't like cookies. He can't really do anything with cookies. So similarly, we might do this. I'm going to do this for Krishna. I'm going to do this for Krishna. I want to do this for Krishna. That might not at all be what Krishna wants. Well, that's nice. That's a nice gesture, but I really have no great purpose for this thing. We might want to do all kinds of things for Krishna, and no problem. It's a good sentiment. It's flattering. Krishna will be happy. But if you really want to know what Krishna likes, if you really want to know, it's revealed. His servants know, actually. And it's revealed, the intimate servants, namely the Vrajabasis, they know exactly what Krishna likes. So this is why the glory of Bhagavatam as well. And Chaitanya MahaPrabhu has come to establish all these conclusions. Anyhow, I went longer. I wanted to do a short thing, but Ben inspired me, and then also, so I wasn't sure I was going to see you later, so I was like, well, there's some Harikatha, and I do my reading every day, so this was a way that I could get something I needed to get done, and at the same time, give something that's beneficial. So anyway, thank you guys for joining. I wish you all the great benediction of learning more about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, this is actually of the utmost importance. This is what makes this Gaudiya Vaishnava lineage so special. It's not just Krishna. It is Krishna, but this is the very intimate way that Krishna is revealing how to come to him. If you want to know Krishna, Krishna literally came to show you. No, just like this. Hands like this. Do it like this. Come on, like this. I'll show you. Come on, I'll lead the way. So I hope you guys, our acharyas, thought this to be the utmost of importance. Always, the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So please understand who Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, and then you'll have a better understanding for the deeper antiquity of the Vedic understanding, because he's showing you how to get there, and you can't skip over him. A lot of people want to skip. A lot of people want to skip over the guru. People want to skip over their seniors. People want to skip this. I can do it. No, we're like a toddler. The toddler should not try and skip over the parents' guidance. The toddler should take the parents' guidance. The parents will help. But a lot of times we could be like bratty little, but this is childish. Be mature, take your guidance, and you'll get a great result that way.